So, Ali, how you doing, my friend?
I am very good, very good. It's been a bit hectic over the last month. It's a busy period of the year for us, but yeah, I'm keeping well. How about yourself?
I'm cool, man. I'm good. Very well. Very well. Um, yeah, it's always busy, in all fairness. I don't know, like with what you do in terms of like content creation and what I do. I think mine it doesn't necessarily have a season. You're just busy all the time.
No,
Unless,
I love that. It's good to
yeah,
be busy.
it is. It is as long as you can manage it as well. Um,
Yes,
so
true.
we met. When did we meet? Was it like 2012 or 2011, 2012?
2012, 2011 is probably when I started, I think, using social media. Um, so I think that it would have been within the space of a year, probably, of me starting. I think that, yeah, we met
Oh my
at the
god.
Body Expos, and yeah,
Yeah. Well,
rest is history.
I remember I was sponsored by PhD Nutrition, and you was also an ambassador there as well, isn't it, for a little bit?
Yeah, that's right. I think that's how we first connected together. You were already an ambassador of the guys, and I came and joined, and yeah,
Yeah. I was
we
like,
got to
who,
meet a few times, did a
who's
few
this pretty boy?
expos. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
good. It was good times, good memories.
And also your wife, which was your girlfriend at the time, she joined the team as well, right?
Yeah, we did actually. That's correct. Yeah, I forget actually. Yeah, we kind of were brought on as a couple, I guess,
Yeah.
as it were. And yeah, we I think we stayed with PhD for it must have been about 3 years. It was a fairly large amount of time. And
Mm,
again, at that period of our kind of careers, we were very heavily focused on fitness. That was a huge passion of ours, and certainly in myself, like it was pretty much the kind of like epicenter of my life. Like everything evolved around me and my gym and my food, and everything was very sort of immersed in that world. So for me to talk about fitness and my journey online was something that I loved and enjoyed.
mm.
Obviously, things have kind of progressed and moved away, and I sort of diversified my platforms now. But yeah,
Yeah.
at the time, it was a huge passion of mine.
That's cool, man. That's cool. One thing I do remember when I was speaking to you was you had a full-time job. You had a
Yeah.
full-time job, and I remember you saying on the odd occasion you had to go out and you had to take pictures, and then you had to go back to work. I was like, considering you was doing both of them, I was like, you're doing a great job.
Oh,
Like,
thanks,
yeah,
man.
I was like, your pictures are amazing. Your work is amazing.
I appreciate
So how did you start off, and then how did you transition from just taking a few pictures here and there into actually becoming a content creator full time? Like, tell me how it was, because obviously work was your bread and butter. Now this is your
it.
work,
Yeah,
so yeah,
yeah.
take us through it, my
So
friend.
yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed a bit of a side hustle. It's something that I get a lot of pleasure out of working. I'm one of those people that quite enjoys being occupied with tasks, and I quite enjoy overworking myself, and that's something that today I've got a lot better at managing. But I think at that particular time I was so hungry for work, and I was kind of very much inspired by my dad and how he kind of lived his life. He runs a very successful company with lots of staff, and I was living under his roof, and I was kind of looking up to him like, okay, this is how you do it. You have to work your ass off to get where you want to get to in life. So I was always very much kind of tuned in with working weekends, weekdays, and in evenings whenever I needed to kind of get to where I wanted to be. So the
Mm.
electrical job that I had, I worked as an electrician for 11 years. That was something that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I wouldn't change that. I really enjoy having that trade behind me. It's super helpful now at the house. I can get some tasks done on my own accord, which is nice. And when I met Lydia, she was already running a blog, which at the time was something that I wasn't familiar with. And she kind of introduced me into this industry, which at the time wasn't really an industry. There wasn't such thing as content creators, or also known as influencers. This sort of industry didn't exist. Um, but she had a passion for fashion, and I had a passion for fitness. So we kind of introduced each other to either's world, as it were. And that's kind of my step into social media and using it as a platform where I would talk about things that I was interested in. And the development of the sort of career as it was at the time, I didn't actually foresee where it was going. It was just kind of a pastime, and I quite enjoyed doing it. I found a huge passion for photography and videography along the way as well. So it all kind of just unfolded as the space kind of evolved, which it was kind of really nice because you were catching that wave, learning as the industry grew, which meant that there was lots of room for mistake and not being held accountable as you would today if you were to start out. So yeah, it was quite an exciting time. There was a lot of uncertainty and excitement around the industry as well. So yeah, I don't know if I've gone off the question a bit there, but it kind of just flowed in its own way, I guess.
Yeah. So, like, was you able to, I don't know, get financially comfortable immediately, or was it a gradual step? Did you need Lydia to help you out a little bit while you were moving over, or did you have a bit of savings, or financially it was okay? How would you say it was?
Yeah, so I'm not a risk taker by nature. So a lot of the decisions that I make are quite calculated. I like to feel that I'm as comfortable as I can be. However, I do have an element of ambition and drive. So I'm willing to sort of take risks, but the more control of those risks I have, the more comfortable I feel doing so. And I'd say that I was in a very, very fortunate position because I had a great relationship with my electrical boss who completely understood the kind of new direction that I was taking in this new career path. And he literally said to me, I don't want to stop you from progressing in your life and feeling fulfilled in your life. So I'm going to allow you to take as much time off as you want. It will be unpaid, but you can take that time off. And when you can come to work and help out, you are more than welcome. Obviously, it's going to be sad to lose you, but I don't want to be kind of like holding you back from what you really want to be doing. So that was like a blessing. I mean, it's very rare you find bosses that are willing to do that. So I was very fortunate in that I never really felt any financial kind of hardship because I had an element of security, which, I mean, I'm so grateful for that because Lydia unfortunately didn't have that same privilege, and she did have to take that jump and that risk. And it was a case of there's no financial fallback. It's this works or I don't work. And obviously I lived through that with her as well. So I got to see both sides of the coin, as it were. And yeah, I feel like I was very lucky in that respect.
That's amazing, man. That's really good.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm lucky, yeah.
sometimes people, when they transition from one to the other, like, it doesn't matter if they've been working in a job for a long time. Some managers are just like, do you know what? F you, man. Like, you're leaving us. We don't care about you anymore. It's like, that's really bad. That's really bad. You know, I mean, even I had a bit of that situation when I used to work at Reebok Sports Club.
Oh, do you know what? I came and visited you, Roger, in Canary Wharf.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That's a long time ago.
I know we took some pictures in Canary Wharf as well.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Yeah, you were saying when you were working there.
Yeah, it was like they wanted me to put in more hours, but I was trying to explain to them that I'm trying to build up my social media platform and I'm trying to get some visibility, but they weren't trying to hear it. And I just thought, you know, like, as my following is growing, I'm bringing credibility here. So let's work together.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, they didn't want to. So it was like one of those where either, you know, I pretty much quit what I'm doing and put all my hours in there for PTing, or I'd just have to leave. So it turned out I had to leave. So it was a nice jump. Sometimes, you know, the scariest things happen for the best reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So that was pretty cool. But yeah, man, this is exciting stuff. So you got lots of people that might want to become content creators themselves. How do you think they should start it? And I have people messaging me all the time, and asking me like, how do I start? And they've got like 100 followers or something, or even less. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know. I
guess,
think it's a bit harder now, but
yeah, it's a question that I often get as well. And I guess if I was to talk from my experiences and the way in which I entered into this industry, it wouldn't be relevant to today's world online, because like I said, there's been so much evolution over the last, I don't know, 8 years or so online, that you wouldn't be able to apply that same strategy, as it were.
mm,
So it's all about adapting and working with what is in front of you, and that's all you can do. I think that it's great to have ambitions and to have goals, but don't put too much weight on it. I always say that being a content creator isn't a job choice, it's a job opportunity. It's something that if you're fortunate enough to be able to get into a position to do, it's amazing, like grip it with two hands and work with it, but it's not something that you can apply for. It does take hard work, it does take time, you have to be consistent and persistent with it. It's just one of those industries, I think, that it's in high demand. So many people want to do it, and it's a very exciting and fun space. But to actually get into it, there are so many unforeseen and unknown challenges that you will face. And so I always say to people that want to become content creators that the first thing that you really need to do is to start sharing content. You need to show people what it is that you want to talk about, show them your passions, your interests. If you have any education, like yourself, Roger, you're talking about a more in-depth scientific perspective on fitness, and you're utilizing that knowledge to share it with your audience, who are then gaining something from yourself. And I think that there needs to be this exchange between you and your audience, which is you're creating something for them to take either enjoyment out of or to educate themselves from. So it's about setting a foundation on your social platforms to offer something to your audience. And when you're doing that, that's when you can start to try to implement strategies or ways to try to be seen, because it's as simple as this: exposure is growth, right? It doesn't get much more complicated than that. If you're seen, people have the opportunity to see you. If you're not seen, nobody's gonna be able to find you, right? So it's about having something to offer and then looking at ways to try to get exposure. And that, I guess, is a different topic. But essentially, you gain exposure from networking, collaborating. This is a direct example. I've come onto your podcast. I'm going to be able to be seen to your audience, and I'll share this podcast with my audience. So essentially, we've just collaborated, right? Which all aids to growth. And I think that it's doing these sort of things with like-minded people in the vertical that you're in, which is really important as well, that are all going to help gain your growth. And then that will lead eventually to financial opportunity.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, yeah. So I feel like I ramble on so much, but there's so
No,
much to say.
no, you've got to let it all out, man. Let it all out. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So one of the things you mentioned was persistence and consistency. How does a person keep so consistent? Like, you do have some people who they will post like once a week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. You know, like for me, I the way I see it is that I need to see, people need to post every day. Like from my experience, if I see your post, I will like it because I like your content. So I'll like it. If I don't see it often enough, algorithm is going to hide that from me, unfortunately. So frequency is pretty important.
Yeah.
But for some people, they might have trouble in keeping up that frequency. What would your way around it be to make sure that you are consistent with content?
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic. And I guess, like most subjects that we discuss, there isn't one correct way of approaching creating content. And there are creators out there that actually post very infrequently and still manage to gather a large amount of engagement on their posts, and algorithms constantly change and evolve. The social platforms that manipulate the behaviors of the platform don't fully understand the implications of those actions, which means that the consequences, which essentially is the knock-on effect with the algorithm, they're not in full control on. They can try and predict and say, we think this might happen, but because it's ever evolving, algorithms are forever moving. There's not necessarily this is how you do it and this is what works, because it takes one person to flip one switch behind the scenes, and all of a sudden that all changes at the front end, right?
Yeah.
So again, don't be too hard on yourself when it comes to posting every day. If you're starting out and you're, especially if you're running a side hustle, it's a lot to ask to get content out that frequently. We're fortunate enough that we have, it's our job, so we have 5 days a week at least to create content, hopefully, for our platforms. If you're running a full-time job and you're doing this on the side, I think that it's about being realistic and setting yourself realistic goals to try to work towards. And the more structure you have to creating that content, I think that's key to consistency. So if I was to talk, for example, about my YouTube channel, I only really saw engagement rise when I posted consistently every week at the same day at the same time. And I always used to post on YouTube, but there was a real sort of sporadic structure. So it might be on a Monday or a Wednesday or a Friday or a Sunday. It was when I had my video ready that week, and I changed it. And it could be like more consumer behavior, that they're like, right, I know at this time, at this day, he posts on this platform. That could help, but it could also be algorithm based. And that's just one piece of content per week. So that's a lower load of content on that one particular platform, and it's paying off at the moment. It seems to be working quite well for me. So I totally agree with you. I think that the more content that you can share, the more opportunity for exposure, which leads to growth. But I think that it's about being realistic. Social media can be your worst enemy as well at times, right? Because it can put a lot of pressure on yourself, and certainly when you see everybody else that you follow and that sit within your vertical creating content, it can sometimes get a bit overwhelming when you start to think about all of the things that you want to do or you need to do or whatever. So I think it's just about trying to be a realist with what you think you can achieve, and kind of going more down that route than trying to be too heavy on the amount of content that's going out. Quality over quantity doesn't exist online as much as it probably should. I think quantity wins a lot. So it's something to bear in mind. But again, there's nothing wrong with either, because there are accounts that are extremely successful that priority quality, and those that do quantity is extremely successful as well. So unfortunately, there's no this is how I feel about volume of content.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I get that. I guess, you have to try and see what works for you, really. I mean, I remember when I first started off doing content, it was like lots of selfies, using a mobile to take pictures and that sort of thing. And as time went on, it was then editing your own videos in a real stylish manner was pretty important.
Yeah.
And now it seems as though, I don't know, people like raw material where, you're recording in a selfie mode. Sometimes that just becomes really popular. People like to see, natural lifestyle stuff without no editing, just raw. You record it, upload it.
Push it. Yeah. And I think that it's like, I guess it's like most things. It flows in trends, right? And I think that our job as creators would be to adapt to those trends. So utilizing platform functions and the trends that sit within those platforms. Obviously, podcasts and YouTube are long form content. So there's a lot more information divulged. Places like Instagram and newly TikTok, short form content. And it's about understanding how those platforms work and trying to make sure that you stay true to yourself in the content that you're producing. But tap into those trends a little bit and kind of have a bit of fun with it, right? It's there to have fun with. You want your audience to enjoy it. So yeah, it's a forever changing, I'd say.
It is, right? So obviously I've seen you on Instagram on a regular basis, both you and your wife.
Sorry about that, man.
Taking up my feed, bro. No. It's always a pleasure. Always. I love the way you style your content. It's got a real, I don't know what kind of presets you use, but email that to me.
That's it, mate. Do you know what? I did a video once on my YouTube, and I actually go through every setting. Was that your door?
It's my door.
You did it.
While I'm recording. Give me a sec. One sec.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
1 minute. Good, man. Good. Roger. That's correct. Thank you. Cheers, mate. Wow.
Dealt with them.
Having delivery from Fashion Nova. 1 sec.
I've got the question.
Yeah, where were we? Sorry.
I was going to just ask the same thing. I got distracted. We were talking about I know I just finished talking about utilizing different functions on platforms that have short form and long form content, and sort of having fun and tapping into those, but staying sort of true to yourself. And then we led on to something else.
Yeah, I think seeing your posts.
See my account. You asked about my presets.
Yeah, well, I was actually joking about the presets, but I was like, yeah, send me the presets. I really like it. I really like what you do. Every time I see the quality of your images, I'm like, wow, that's really nice. I don't know, like it looks like art. Seriously.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
Yeah. Like you got some people, they take some beautiful pictures, especially if they're in a sunny country. I think it's quite easy to take beautiful pictures on a beach and stuff like that. But you can make an average setting look very beautiful. I don't know what presets you use, whether you have different ones or you change it every day. But I
have a few in the Lightroom user preset bank. That's for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Do you sell those at all?
I don't know. I was actually saying, I think it's important to teach people how to fish rather than, give them the fish. You know the old saying, it's better to teach a man to fish, feed him for a life, than give him a fish and feed him for a day. That kind of quote.
Yeah.
And we're super fortunate. Liz and I, we have an amazing career that we do very well out of. And I don't feel that I have a want at the moment to sell presets. So I did a video which actually taught people how to create their own presets on my YouTube channel, and actually showed them at the time what was my most used preset, so they could copy the exact settings. And I think when you learn how easy it is to create a preset, you wouldn't buy one again. They're so simple to make. And okay, you might not get the exact look that you're looking for at the beginning, but it wouldn't take long for you to start to understand how changing different settings can manipulate the output of the image. And before you know it, you'll be able to create looks that you desire. There are also other creators online that have done videos that show you how to utilize these softwares. And yeah, I just think that there's something more satisfying creating a preset that you made for you than just buying one. And you'll also learn as well that once you put a preset on an image, because of the nuances of light in a photo, you're never going to get or rarely going to get the correct grade or the correct preset for that light setup.
It's
going to change certain things anyway. So it kind of, I just think it's something that if you're serious about photography and you want to learn how to color grade or edit your pictures, I would say that most people within a space of a week will have Lightroom nailed. Like certainly the one for the phone, which is CC, I think it's called. You'll have it nailed, and you'll be creating your own presets in no time.
What other apps would you say are very important to have, either on your laptop or on your phone?
It depends what your I mean, it depends in relation to editing or in relation to business, or
The editing and business, really.
okay.
Like people who want to be content creators, they want to have nice flashy images like yours.
Okay, so like I've mentioned, Lightroom for me is probably the fastest, quickest, and a very user-friendly app to get almost complete control over your image when it comes to color and lighting. So Lightroom is one. I would then say you could utilize apps such as Unfold, which you can create storyboards from. So they just give a little edge to creating stories on your platform. Unfold is a good example. There are other apps out there, of course, for
Unfold. How does that work? This Unfold. You say you create stories out of it.
So it's templates. So it's basically pre-made templates that you insert your photos on, and you can add text to and play around with. So it's just giving you a template basically to stylize your stories, to give those a bit of an edge. Not so much a phone app, but two apps that I use a lot for photo and videos. Photoshop and Final Cut Pro are the two software that I use. A lot of people use Premiere Pro for editing their videos, but Photoshop and Lightroom are the most popular in this kind of world, I guess, for editing. And Photoshop's a bit of another beast. I wouldn't worry about that too much unless you were looking to do some like pretty serious photo manipulation. Lightroom is pretty sufficient for social media. Now, moving on to business, this is an app that I've used now for like 4 years or something, and it is the best organizer that me and my manager use. It's called Slack, and it basically categorizes our conversations into campaigns, so we can fast track any conversation in minutes, rather than flicking through email threads and trying to find the relevant information. And we utilize that app really well, and it's probably progressed our productivity within the company by over 50%. It's been amazing for us, so complete game changer. And again, there are other apps. There's one called Basecamp, and I think Google now have something as well that's kind of like in those realms. So yeah, that's a business app that I would suggest maybe looking into, because it works great for teams.
Basecamp.
Basecamp is one. We don't use that. We use Slack. But they're a similar kind of idea. It's about it's basically, the idea is to try to streamline conversation and to access topics efficiently.
That's right.
How we use it.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. I see you and your wife do some content together. She does her own thing, and you do your own thing, and then you do some stuff together, which looks pretty amazing. Looks pretty amazing. What is it she does, if you don't mind talking about that? You don't need to go too deep.
I try to stay out of her business. But
yeah, I mean, I follow you. I look at your content, but sometimes, like, if both of you are together, then I'll click on her page. I'll be like, okay, let's just have a quick look. But I'm more interested in what you do, and I've seen her maybe talk about some perfumes and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and maybe handbags or something like that. Could be.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. She covers all of that. So, I mean, Lids has, I can say this because I don't have to be modest for her. She's got an amazing eye for detail. She's got a great sense of style, which means that she's got this kind of like natural instinct for hunting out amazing products, great brands. She's always got a sort of finger on the pulse with it. So whenever we show an interest in a new kind of sector of the fashion world, then she will find some of the most well-respected and reliable kind of manufacturers in that space. And she's just, I think she just knows how to navigate herself around the kind of online world of the big wide web. She can just hunt out websites and brands really efficiently. Like it would take, if I wanted to sort of start styling myself up in a certain way, like let's just say when I first showed an interest for tailoring, it takes me a long time to sort of start finding brands. Like, of course, you could do a quick Google search of Savile Row, but to start to really find some sort of niche, really cool, unique brands, it would take me ages. But Liz has this knack to just like get to them really quickly, and she's definitely a leading lady in her space. There's there's a huge interest in Lydia and what she speaks about and talks about, and Liz isn't somebody that kind of like would herself. She wouldn't see herself as like a top creator in the sense of like the actual quality of the content in terms of visually. So when we talk about editing and beautiful imagery, that's not really her bag. Hers is all about the substance. So her focus is about the products that she's talking about, and she really focuses on making sure that what she's offering to her audience has so much value, and that is her sort of like key. And so the quality of the content is secondary to that, if that makes sense.
Right,
I mean, I love her content, it's amazing, but
yeah,
she won't sit on a computer editing and doing presets on her photos and stuff like that. She's not really into that kind of thing.
oh, okay. Whereas you would do that. Do you?
I'm just interested in that thing kind of stuff.
Yeah. What's your main platform? So I see you use Instagram. You said YouTube. Do you use others? Do you use Twitter? Do you use TikTok?
I think that every platform plays a role, and I think to diversify yourself across a number of platforms is really important. You might remember Vine.
Yeah.
It was a short form platform that had a 6-second loop, I think. I didn't use it, but that platform collapsed. I think they liquidated, or they didn't sell it. Something happened, and there were some creators that were just solely on that platform. And so when that platform died, so did their businesses. So if that's not a reason in itself to try to diversify yourself across platforms, I don't know what is, because you become very reliant. And I think it's like that, the old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I think to split across all is really important for financial reasons, but in terms of the actual style of content you're getting out, if you're trying to showcase, share, and communicate with your audience to create a relationship, I think that having a YouTube channel is key, because you can really interact and people can really get to know you, and you can just talk a lot more about what it is that you want to speak about. Instagram's obviously a lot faster in the way in which you consume it, but I would say that it's probably the most prominent platform for business, because brands kind of hold that as their sort of like header for, if we want to work with somebody, we'll go to their Instagram first. It's almost like their CV. So
yeah.
Cat's come in.
Hey, how you doing, Cat? What's the cat's name?
Lumi.
Lumi.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a snow Bengal, but and I think it's in Finn. Lumi means snow, so that's kind of the.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, she wants to sit on my lap, but I've actually twisted my desk around. I normally sit over there, so she's probably a bit confused.
Throwing her off. You got 2 cats in it, or is it just one?
We did have 2, yeah, but unfortunately one went missing. So I got one.
Okay.
But we've had one for about a year now. Yeah, just over a year he went missing, and I know we're getting a dog, so that's going to be a new step in the new year for us. Yeah. Roger, don't.
Oh, God.
I fought it for a long time, but I finally gave in. Yeah.
Okay.
So I fought the cats as well, to be fair. I didn't want to have any pets initially, and Lydia's finally getting her wicked way with me. So
you got to listen to the woman, bro.
Yeah, I know, the boss, right?
That's it. So, what type of cameras do you have? I'm sure you've got more than one, and you've probably got like a whole array of lenses. Yeah, let's get technical. The sexy.
Yeah, so my main camera, like I've actually got it here, the Sony A7R Mark III. I used to shoot on the Sony A7R Mark II. This is a mirrorless camera. This particular model, the R range, it's quite good for photo and video. It's like the balanced camera. So I think it's the A7S is like a
more
film camera, and this is more kind of a bit of photo as well. So it kind of strikes between the two. It's quite compact. It's quite light. I get a lot of. Oh, have you got something pop up? Is that me? That's me. It's fine. It's me. I find that I get a lot of my sort of cinematic video shots with this, and then I use this for my Instagram photos. I shoot on a 50mm lens. This is actually a 28, because when you're inside, sometimes it's hard to get the distance, so you need to have a wider angle. But I shoot on a 50mm typically, which is, I think a 50 is more similar to what the eye sees. So it's that kind of perspective, which is why it's quite pleasing and aesthetic for us to see it on a photo, because it represents more in line with what we see, not taking into account our peripheral. And then for my YouTube videos, I use the Canon G7X, which is this little digi camera here. Super small, it's compact. It's got a really good auto white balance on it. The colors are nice on it. Canons are typically quite soft on the skin, so Sonys are super sharp. So a lot of travel photographers, architectural photographers and stuff like that will probably like Sonys because they're really sharp. But a lot of portrait photographers and people that are photographing humans will prefer Canons, like Canon 5D or 1DX or something, because it's softer on the skin. It's not so much the camera; it's all in the lens, the glass.
So when you say
these are my two.
When you say softer, what does that mean? Less detail, so it shows less lines or something. And
so the Sony, because it's so sharp, it will pick up on like hair follicles and pores and stuff.
Wow!
And so it can almost it's a very sharp camera, so it can be a little bit almost look like the skin's a bit grainier. And Canons have just got a slightly softer. It's hard to explain. I think if you were to look at two photos side by side, again, there's so many reviews online with these two brands. You'll just see the difference. It's subtle. Like maybe the untrained eye might be like, I don't see any difference, but that's kind of. I think a lot of guys use Sony and a lot of women like Canons.
Right.
Conversations with people in the space. Guys quite like the sharpness of images, and women quite like the kind of dreamy, kind of more softer look.
Right. Okay,
that's not gospel. That's just
Yeah, I understand.
From me chatting. Yeah.
So, what type of lenses? You got the 50mm. Was it a 1.4 or 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's huge though. I think I wish it wasn't so big. Man, that's
We're still talking about the lens, yeah?
Yeah. So this is this is a 50. There, you see?
All right.
And and this is the if I show you the 28. There's a big difference in size. This is probably 3 or 4 times as heavy as well. So when you're walking around all day with that lens on, it can be a bit heavy on the eye. I mean, not for you, mate. You'd be fine. You'd be fine, yeah. You'd be, giving it a rep. But yeah.
I've got a Sony. I've got the old Sony though. Where is my camera? It's probably somewhere else. I've got the the A7R Mark II, and I've got the.
I love that camera.
You got the Mark III though, isn't it?
Yeah, because I went on a sorry, the cat's come back in.
That's
I went on a little adventure in Wales, and we climbed up to one of the peaks, and basically I wouldn't say it was raining, but we were in the clouds, and the camera got really wet whilst we were up there shooting,
Mm.
and I sent it off for repair, and Sony said it's not repairable because it was so water damaged.
Wow.
So I needed to buy a new one, and I thought I'll just get the latest version. And I like it, but I'd arguably say that the Mark II, I found as a user, I found it easier. Now, it's probably just the setup of the camera, but I find that I keep on having issues with the focus point on this. It keeps on moving, and I've got some little niggly problems that I need to work on with that Mark III that I didn't have with the Mark II. So, yeah,
Right.
they're fantastic cameras. I really like them.
The lens which you have, is it a G Master or the
Is it Zeiss?
Zeiss?
Yes. So I think you can.
Okay.
You see that?
Yeah.
But it's a Sony lens, but I think maybe, I don't know, Zeiss, I don't know what element of that, I don't know if that's just the name or whether this is the a secondary company that supply the glass or whatever. The focus speed on that lens is so quick. So on the normal 50mm that comes as a 1.8, it's quite slow, and it will go like when it's trying to pull a focus.
Yeah.
With this, it's like ching, it's on. It's so rapid and responsive, which is great. So it's a fantastic lens. It's just really big and heavy. It's about as heavy as the camera. So
I get that focus thing a lot, but I think it's because myself, I've got it's a bit random, but I bought a Canon lens when I was using a different camera, a Lumix. I don't know if you remember, I had a Lumix, and I thought, all right, I want to kind of, I've got a Metabone speed booster and then placed a friggin'
adapter?
Canon lens. Yeah, the Metabone, the adapter. And got a Canon lens. And I still had the Canon lens. So I thought, let me just get a speed booster for the Sony and use the Canon lens on there as well. So I don't have to buy a whole library of lenses and start all over again. So, you know.
You can do it.
Huh?
You can do that. But you said you had problems with the focus?
Yeah, that thing where I wanted to take a picture, but I think the picture wasn't too bad. It was more the video. The video was, oh my God, it was terrible. It was like, and you can, not only does it go in and out of focus, but you can hear it on the recording as well.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is terrible.
Yeah. I used to work with a photographer that transitioned from Canon to Sony. And so he had a repertoire of Canon lenses, and he brought the body on the Sony, and then he brought an adapter. And sometimes when we would shoot, he would have to switch his camera off and then put it back on again. Almost like a reset, I guess, because the lenses were misbehaving. But, you know, they're not compatible really, are they? They're not designed to be compatible. So you're trying to use two products that haven't been designed to work together.
Yeah.
But I mean, the technical side of it, I don't know enough about it. It gets lost on me. So I just know what I like to see, and that's that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
okay. So I'm going to show you. So what future projects do you have lined up? Do you have anything in mind? Have you thought about maybe bringing your own sort of product out?
Do you know what? I love the idea of having something to sell, something that I've made that I can hold and be like, wow, I've designed or worked on this. I have very light conversations, and I have done for the last couple of years. But if I'm honest, I've never really found or thought of anything that I've been like, yes, that's it. That's what I want to work on, because I kind of always get drawn to the more predictable products and sort of collections. And I'm just like, I want to do something that when I know it's right, it's right. And if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But yeah, we'll see. I think that the idea of owning my own company that sells a product, I love the idea of it. But there's just nothing that's kind of made me take that step yet, I'd say.
Yeah.
And in terms of future projects, I'm not sure what I'm allowed to talk about contractually, because I don't know where I'm at with what I'm allowed to say. But there's lots of things that are in the pipeline for 2021. Obviously, because of unfortunate circumstances this year with the global pandemic, quite a lot of my annual or yearly partnerships were moved to 2021, as were some of the associated events that are tied in with those partnerships. So, which are the things that I'm not sure if I can talk about, but there are many brands that I've worked with this year that will be carrying through into 2021, which is really exciting. Obviously, in terms of travel plans, doesn't look like I'm going to be visiting anywhere as beautiful as where you are right now.
Oh man, gosh, I'm sweating here, bro. I'm sweating.
It looks like you got a nice breeze though.
I know, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, it's only about 28 at the moment.
Yeah, just chilling. Yeah, yes, it's actually raining here, mate. But we, because of obviously everything that's going on, I don't know whether there's going to be a trip at all next year. And I think that it's something that we take very seriously and we consider a lot, as I know a lot of the brands do as well. So it would be interesting to see what happens, but I don't think that anything in terms of like traveling would happen until later into next year. But because of all the uncertainty, it's so hard to know what's going to happen in 2021. But fingers crossed, stay positive that everything kind of flows to a way. I think that it's been amazing to see how so many creators online have adapted and evolved to this kind of unforeseen event, and I don't know if you can call it event, this pandemic. And I think that it was interesting as well to see how some people adapted really quickly and some people quite struggled with it. Some people took it as an opportunity to take a pause. Lots of people reacted in lots of different ways, and everybody faces different challenges on a daily basis. And so you don't judge anyone for the decisions they make, but it was quite interesting to see how some people really took it as an opportunity to adapt and evolve and move forward, and others decided to kind of sit back and wait and see what happened.
Yeah, very true, very true. I think for content creators, I don't know, I think it's an easier thing to deal with than someone who needs to go into an office, or if you have to physically be somewhere, really. You could adapt and just do stuff at home. And if someone had a beautiful home like yours, like, wow, bro.
We're very fortunate. We
live in a palace, man. I'm like, wait, where did they move? Like, it's insane, bro. It's the sort of house I expect to see, like, if you remember MTV Cribs,
I just watched this,
just walking around like this, there's these massive stairs and cameras following you. Oh yeah, this is my drive, and
the spinning wheel on the drive where the car spins around. You see those?
That's it.
I used to watch MTV Cribs and West Coast Customs. Is it West Coast Customs? The car, they used to work on cars.
Oh yeah. There was an Exhibit done one as well.
Yeah. It was Exhibit that ran it. It was West Coast Customs, no?
Oh, is that what it's called? Because I know you had Pimp My Ride.
That might have been it. Maybe there was two. I don't know. Possibly. Maybe Pimp My Ride was taking place at West Coast Customs Centre where they actually did the work. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it was Pimp My Ride. You are right.
Maybe you can be on there next. Who knows, man? Why not? You work with what you have, and you adapt. And I think that it was just a really interesting time for me to see how everything unfolded, and amongst all of the other negatives that come with it. I think that lots of people, including myself, took some positives, and it's been a huge time to reflect, right? This year, reassess, reevaluate. I know lots of my friends have actually changed their career paths. They've taken new job opportunities, and it's trying to take a bad situation and spin it into a bit of a better situation. And it's been an interesting year to see that happen. Yeah. Which one is your favorite brand that you think you work with?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have favorites.
But they've all got different perks. I'm sure.
Of course. Yes. Yeah.
So, you can mention what some of the perks are.
Yeah, I think so. For me, last year, when we were taking part in lots of experiences, I think that it would have been easier for me to have recalled on, one of my favorite experiences this year was X or Y. Mm-hmm. this year, obviously, everything's been at the house. So everything has been shot and done, and I've taken part in everything here at my home. So there hasn't been much difference between, you know, I'm talking about products and styling products. And of course, I love the brands that I work with. I don't work with people that I'm not interested in working with. So something that I hold myself with high regard to, I'm like, I won't work with a brand or a product that I don't like. And so for me, because we haven't had any experiences to offset, it's quite hard for me to say which has been my favorite this year, because they all feel very similar in that respect. But I'd certainly say that a great memory for me last year was when I got the opportunity to go to Portugal with Boss, and I was with a couple of my good buddies from the industry, and we got to drive around on quad bikes and motorbikes, and it was just a really cool experience. There was a huge group of guys that are very like-minded from around the world. So there's a lot of Italians and lads from like Madrid and stuff like that. So it was lovely to connect with some new people, and we just had a good laugh, really. And we were all dressed in our Boss suits and stuff. So that was a great memory. I remember that trip as a really fun trip. I'm also very fortunate to be able to join Lydia sometimes on some of her trips as well. And at the start of 2020, we went to Courchevel and to the ski resort.
Courchevel,
yeah.
Whereabouts is that?
I think it's the Alps, the French Alps.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Nice.
I hope. We went there. We didn't book the flights or accommodation, right? So I don't remember the actual. I just know it's Courchevel, and that was amazing. We got to do a bit of snowboarding and skiing, and we got to see some huskies, and yeah, that was an amazing start to the year. But it feels like a long time ago. So.
Wow. Yeah, I could imagine. But that's great. I don't know.
Did you go to India at the start of this year?
Again, it feels like, you're saying that things feel like ages ago. I don't know if it feels like the year's gone slow or quick. No, it feels like it's gone quick.
You went to Dubai as well, didn't you?
Yes.
That was this year, though, right?
No, I think that might have been last year.
Anything pre-COVID feels like last year.
Feels like ages ago, bro. I feel like it's been a serious imprisonment, but not in a necessarily bad way. It's given me time to reflect, and I've done, I've worked on a lot of projects in the meantime. Sitting down, knuckling down, and writing stuff, scripting stuff. It's been great. Like it hasn't been really bad. In fact, it's been pretty good. I'm not going to complain. But I think, probably going to India has been pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'd love to visit.
Yeah, it's great. Like, and the thing is, it's amazing. It's such a big country. It'll be like you go to one place and you could go to another place and it's completely different.
It's like different countries.
Yeah, all together.
Yeah.
Different cultures, different way they speak, different mannerisms, and the food as well. Like, typically if you live in UK, you just think, go to India, it's just going to be curry.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going there for curry. There's going to be curry, in which, like, they will have some curry, but the way they season it could be slightly different.
Yeah.
Just preparation. Even some places you might not be able to buy certain meats, or there might be more fish in certain continents in India. Whereas another place to be like, no, we don't sell fish here. Like, there's no fish in the country. I don't get it. Like, what's that all about?
Yeah.
It's just it's bizarre and interesting at the same time. But the people there are very affectionate in a sense of, like, if you give a compliment or if you give a tip or something, it's like wholeheartedly appreciated, like with love.
That's nice.
Like really, really appreciated. And at the same time, they could get quite offended and emotional.
Right. So it's just like an amplified emotional kind of trait, I guess. Within many of them. Okay, I'd love to. And also the wildlife. I bet. Did you see any tigers or anything?
No, I didn't see none of that.
No,
I didn't see none of that.
Oh, I'd love to go there for that. One of my friends, who's from India, he keeps on saying, you need to come out with me, because he goes every year, apart from he hasn't been this year. And he shows me some of the videos where that, you know, they've got these wild lions or tigers or whatever they are. And you know, these things are like 10 meters away from him, and he's just there filming them. And I'm just like, what? I'd be losing my mind.
Yeah.
So I'd love to go. So hopefully one day.
Yeah.
So
yeah, when you do go, you got to let us know, man. I got to see that
yeah.
content. That's all I want to see. The
Yeah,
content.
yeah. Oh, I bet it's so nice out there.
Oh, beautiful. Well, one final question. I wanted to ask about the like Instagram alone.
Yeah.
Which one would you say is the most the best form of thing to use for Instagram, or is it kind of like an integration between them all? Like, you know,
So you're asking me. Okay, I know what you're asking. Yeah.
So you got.
You're asking what would I suggest to use in terms of the functions that the platform offers.
Yes. That's correct.
So I would say that number one rule is that whenever a platform introduces a new function, from an algorithm perspective, that's the function that you should be utilizing, because that's the function they want you to use. Typically, a function is introduced to either improve and develop upon the existing platform, or not officially to try to crush another competitive platform. You may remember that Snapchat was doing very well, and Facebook and Instagram introduced stories, and they slowly just disappeared. And then you may be familiar with TikTok and the rise of short form content, and then Reels appeared. So these functions that are introduced often have a purpose and a role that goes beyond the usability or the user's experience on the platform. And so to utilize those functions is key, because it means that you're going to be favored by the algorithm, which means more exposure. More exposure equals more growth. More growth is more opportunity. So at the moment, I would say that Reels is a function that you should be utilizing, which is short 15-30 second video content. This will slowly plateau back out. So it's had like a spike where it was really getting over engaged. You'd see accounts that would be far exceeding their following in terms of engagement, because the platform was actually pushing the content to new audience. So we've seen this big peak, and then at the minute it's probably sitting nearer to the top still, but we're starting to fall back down. This I predict that what will happen is this will start to curve back down and fall back in line with other functions such as IGTV, Instagram Live, stories, and obviously your traditional photo and video content. I definitely see personally on my channel as a direct response to a new function, affecting the views on an older function and increasing the views on that new function. I physically see it like as clear as day every time it happens. So it's not about using a particular function all the time. It's about adapting to those new functions and just try to use the platform. The platform wants you to try to, essentially, if you were to get really technical, they just want you to produce content on that platform to keep users using it, because the more user time, the more value in that company. So Instagram, Facebook hold more value. So it gets really businessy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Have you watched The Social Dilemma?
No. Is that a movie? Is that a documentary? What is that? Social
Dilemma is a documentary. It's on Netflix, and it's basically more of the back end of these platforms and how there is a lot of concerns around sort of like data protection and the mental health implications of using social media. And it's kind of just covering a lot of things that have become apparent to me over the years and to my team. But they've kind of just put it into one package, and people from those platforms that now don't work there anymore have been interviewed, and they've spoken about some of the things that go on. And it's basically just saying that the platforms are designed to keep you there for as long as possible, and they'll feed you whatever they need to feed you to keep you there. So they talk about fake news and stuff like that, which I'd say that Facebook is probably more guilty of than Instagram for that behavior. But yeah, I think that it's just, my advice would just be utilize the new functions But always keep in mind that eventually those existing functions will become very relevant again after that initial peak of the new function being introduced. And then you've just sort of got to play around and just be very observant of your engagement, your interactions and your views, and you'll be able to sort of self-monitor your own platform, because your platform and my platform will behave completely differently. So it's all about where our audiences are from and what their interests are and what style of content we're putting out. More than likely, there's going to be some kind of algorithm implication between your account and mine as well, because I'm sure that everybody's account doesn't run off the same kind of program, as it were. I mean, I know that there are people that I know that have got a completely different Instagram layout. There are functions on their accounts that aren't on mine. There'll be people that will go, well, I can't get music on my stories. And, you know, there are changes to accounts as well, because they're as a platform, they're constantly evolving and trying new things, and they don't just introduce one function and give it to everybody. There's a slow introduction to this, and they test. And so, yeah, it's very complicated. It's far more complicated than I understand.
Oh, wow. It's far more complicated than I even thought either. Now you've made it more complicated for me. Thanks.
You can read too much into this stuff, but yeah, I guess I just feel like it's my job to try to understand from a business perspective as best as possible how I can reach my audience, because that's all we want to do. We just want to be able to speak to the people that want to be heard, want to hear us speak, right?
Exactly.
The platforms are there for us to do that, but at the same time, there can be things that hinder that because of their setup. So it's just trying to make sure that we sort of move around those bollards, as it were.
Yes. Ali, it's been great, bro.
Thank you for having me. I feel like I've spoke a lot.
That's the whole idea. It's a podcast. You're supposed to speak as much as you want. No, that was fantastic. It was really insightful, not just for people that are beginners and want to perhaps create a business from social media, but maybe existing people who are, you know, on social media and trying to better their business. What you do is amazing. It really is.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
You know, and it's a force. Like, you and your wife are doing it together. It's like, wow.
Yeah, that's nice as well, because we can communicate, right?
Yeah.
To one another, and we can learn from one another, and yeah, it's nice.
It's fabulous. It's fabulous. So, you're on Instagram. What's your name on Instagram? For people.
It's Ali Gordan. That's it. Yeah.
Ali Gordan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Cool. And on
YouTube, the same, right? Just search Ali Gordan and it will pop up.
Cool. Anything else? Are you on any other?
I have got a website as well, aligordan.net. I post on that every Monday.
All right.
And then YouTube every Wednesday, and then Instagram probably 4 or 5 times a week. So
awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Get it out.
Oh, that's brilliant, man. That's brilliant. I've got to check out your website. I ain't seen that. I've seen YouTube videos. Your videos are amazing. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. They're good, man. They're good. I need to learn. Thank you very much for your time, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, mate. It's been nice to catch up as well.
Yeah. Nice. Be good to catch up in person, you know.
I know.
Wear a mask and, you know, we just keep the sanitizer. Yeah, it'll be all right.
Yeah, when we're allowed to, mate, I'm game for that. I'll have to come into London and catch up.
That's it, brother.
Sounds good.
Nice one. All right, man.
Right, take care.
And you too. God bless.